Have you ever had that feeling that you're training really hard, training really well, but the results are not coming, or the watts, the power is not there? If you saw my past videos, summer, very good. Pogi challenge, very good. And then I started trying the FTP test here and it went pretty bad. So I had to find something to try to bring back that fitness, because the fitness was going downhill. After thinking for quite a while, I thought maybe trying the 10 weeks FTP Builder of Zwift to see if I can finally push back my FTP where it belongs to. The plan is basically scheduling 12 weeks or 10 weeks. I'm gonna start from week 3 because the first week I already have the endurance. Mainly is 4 or 5 training per week, 1 hour to 1 hour and 40. 2 of them a bit more intense with zone 3 and zone 4, and then the other 3 they are mainly zone 2. So I'm going to be a bit quicker on the zone 2, and then I'm gonna focus a bit more on the intensity part of this training. Week 1 and week 2 are pretty smooth, with day 2 and day 4 of the only interval on day 2 and the only zone 3 on day 4 for the week 1, so pretty simple, crossed by 2 Z2. You can see the Z2 on this builder plan. They are all in blocks with little Z1 rest. And then the second week, tiny bit ramps at the beginning, but focus on the zone 3 on day 2. And on the day 4, we focus on zone 3 with mini ramps leading to zone 4. So pretty easy so far. On week 3 and 4, the focus is mainly on the zone 3. Obviously, we keep building the blocks in zone 2, and then we go in zone 3 with a few repeated intervals. Then 2 slightly longer blocks of Z3, and then the first 5 shorter block in Z4. Before going into week 4, which is slightly more intense, still no issues here. Many intervals in zone 3. Then we start doing a zone 2 interval with zone 4 and a bit of a mix in the 4th. So far, so good. Well, in this middle block, I really started feeling more comfortable in zone 3 and actually good in zone 4. On week 5, the work is to consolidate the zone 3 with 3 different trainings, shorter interval, mid-interval with rest in zone 2, and 2 longer blocks with 4 Z4 at the very end. In week 5, I also started using Ruby to plan my preparation of the FTP Builder. I just build the trainings and I use them on Ruby as I use it on Zwift. And then we're going on week 6, where we have a very short interval in zone 4. And after a build up, longer Z3 session with 2 final, slightly longer zone 4. I hit a wall on week 7 when the training started getting harder. I didn't have enough sugar, I didn't have enough energy. That's why I started using Sinocare i3 CGM to monitor my glucose.
It's really comfortable. You can see I'm wearing it now. I'm doing zone 2. I'm sweating a bit as well. I don't even feel that I have it on. Whatever is a zone 3, always monitor it, or even if it's a zone 4 FTP. And even after a long, intense training session, the Sinocare i3 has no issues. With the IP28 certification, is water resistant, whatever you are cycling, running, or even swimming. Very complete also the app, where I can monitor every single day when my sugar spikes or is low. Daily data, multiple days, daily average comparison, final report in app, and also a downloadable final report in PDF. Make sure you get yours, link in description. Now it's getting intense with week 7 and 2 sessions focus on zone 4 with 5 intervals on day 2 and 6 intervals in day 4. Slightly lower than FTP, we're talking about 90%. And we keep going with a very hard week on week 8, focusing on intervals in zone 4 and zone 3. So basically it's kind of like a over-under but below your FTP. Your rest time is a zone 3, and then your main interval is focused on the zone 4. For 2 days, day 2 and day 4. We are going now to the next week towards Christmas and New Year's Eve, so it was a bit more difficult for me to cope with the job and also with the training, but I try to make it up and try to make sure the 2 intensity days per week they were completed.
Weeks 9 and 10 across Christmas and New Year's Eve, probably not the best. We're gonna focus only on the hard training, 2 per week out of the 5 days, and the rest is Z2. Mix on the first one when you start with Z3 and then Z4, multiple reps, blocks of 3. So you basically, again, as I mentioned before, the rest is the zone 3. Shorter intervals, zone 4 is zone 3, because similar like the over-under. For the last week, some good performances and some less good performances in those last 2 weeks.
Well, I don't want to say I wanted to quit, but there was moments where I was really struggling on how to keep up with the schedule, with the planning, because there was so much going on in my life, and obviously I had difficulty to schedule all the training and to maintain the level and the intensity of the training, but I managed to pull it through. Let's do this final FTP test.
Okay, let's start kicking in with the whole no, and we're going up the grade for this FTP test. The previous one was 240 and then I was 61 kilos, so for a total of 3.93 watt per kilo was the FTP. Started quite well. You can see the average is already quite high. It's really good because I have the reference of the last try. You can see at the bottom the grade is 4 meters behind. Now at 25 meters behind, 3 seconds ahead of my previous FTP test, which is the one just before this FTP 10 weeks builder plan. Here I'm on 280 average so far, very steep the first part, a bit of an advantage versus the previous one, but you can see there's only one issue, quite a big one I would say. I'm already overeating. I did quite a good warm-up, but I did the Ineos warm-up, but the heartbeat is pretty high. We're going a bit ahead here, heartbeat still considerably high for obviously my body. This part in the previous FTP I did this slightly slower. I tried to keep the cadence high, but I put the gear on 12 as you can see here, so I'm trying to keep a bit, a faster, keep a higher cadence but also a higher power. You can see now I'm 8-9 seconds ahead, so this is the best moment so far in the FTP test. 9 seconds ahead, now 10 ahead of the previous attempt for the previous FTP test. So far so good at this moment. I'm trying to keep this bit of 5-6% quite a really high cadence. You can see I'm about 100 and now the cadence went a bit more down, but I tried to keep the gear a bit higher. I can't really push those watts as I could before, and in these 3 out of 4 parts you can see on the right the grade 3 seconds only ahead of my previous time. Quite a lot of catch up. So in the previous FTP attempt I went really fast on the second steep part of the grade, and now I can't really perform as much. You can see the watts average in the middle. They went a bit lower than they was before. Before I was 270. Now in the last part I'm at 265, and you can see literally the grade 0-0, so means myself on the previous FTP attempt is just behind 8 meters now. Means I lost quite a lot in this last part versus my previous attempt. I'm trying all my best to go above 320 watts here. Final push. The ETA is 1325. I went at 1322, but at the end actually I completed with 238 watts. The new FTP is 338 watts, which means 3.97 watt per kilo at my current weight of 60 kilos. Not the best, not successful for me this 10 weeks FTP builder, unfortunately.
A lot of learnings on those 10 weeks. The most important is to keep consistency. Consistency is key for a training or a specific builder like this one. 10 weeks are a long time, so you need to make sure you don't have something in the middle, you don't break the training to maintain and perform better. I learned more about myself. I'm not a big fan of Z3 and Z4 training, over under. If I recommended the FTP builder, yes I do. If you have time, if it's a part of the year when you don't have specific races or interval training, I would definitely recommend it to you to improve your FTP level. Let me know if you did the plan as well on the comment down below. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe the channel. But in my opinion, there's still another little thing that I can do to improve my FTP and the power, and I'm going to talk about this on my next video. Stay tuned and I'll see you here next week. Ciao!